Chosen one, listen carefully. There was a version of you that God loved, but could not take you where He was leading. Not because that version was bad, not because you failed, but because that version would have been crushed by what's ahead. So God began a quiet work. He didn't announce it, He didn't explain it. He simply allowed pressure. Pressure in relationships, pressure in your mind, pressure in your emotions, pressure in your faith. And slowly the old ways stopped working. The coping habits you once relied on collapsed. The people you leaned on faded away. The confidence you built on approval cracked. You felt like you were losing yourself. But heaven says you were being reconstructed. Because the old you survived by reacting, the new you must move by discernment. The old you tried to please, the new you must stand firm. The old you carried everything alone, the new you must walk in surrender. God knew something you didn't. If He sent you into the next season unchanged, you would have tried to carry it with the wrong strength, the wrong mindset, the wrong expectations. So He broke what could not go forward. That breaking hurt because you loved who you used to be. You loved your passion, your fire, your availability, your willingness to give. But God saw how much it was costing you. You were strong but exhausted, faithful but drained, obedient but depleted. And God will never elevate someone He must constantly repair. So He slowed you down. He stripped distractions. He silenced noise. He confronted patterns. You didn't just feel broken, you felt undone. But here's the truth no one told you. God does His deepest work when you don't have the energy to interfere. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop fixing everything, when you stop trying to control outcomes, that's when transformation sticks. That's when identity resets. That's when strength changes form. Now look at you. You don't move fast anymore. You move wisely. You don't speak as much, but when you do, it carries weight. You don't give access easily because you finally understand your value. You didn't lose your fire, it just matured. You didn't lose your heart, it just learned boundaries. You didn't lose your calling, it just grew heavier. And here's what's coming next. A season that requires stability, not adrenaline. A season that requires clarity, not chaos. A season that requires depth, not noise. The old you would have burned out here. The new you will endure. So don't grieve the version of yourself that had to die. That version did its job. It got you this far. But the next chapter requires someone stronger in spirit, quieter in confidence, and anchored in God. And that's who you are becoming. Chosen one, stay with me, because this part explains why the breaking felt so intense. The reason it hurt so deeply is because the old version of you was built for survival, but the next season requires stability. You were strong in crisis, strong under pressure, strong when everything depended on you. But God is not bringing you into another survival season. He's bringing you into a sustaining season. And survival strength cannot handle sustained blessing. The old you knew how to push through pain, but the new you must know how to remain steady in peace. The old you knew how to endure chaos, but the new you must know how to steward clarity. The old you knew how to keep going when things were falling apart, but the new you must know how to stay grounded when things finally come together. That's why God didn't just heal you, He restructured you. Because healing restores what was hurt, but restructuring prepares what's coming. God saw that if He elevated you too quickly, you would have carried the next season with the same habits that nearly broke you in the last one. You would have overextended yourself. You would have ignored warning signs. You would have taken responsibility for things that weren't yours. You would have confused obedience with exhaustion. So He stopped you. Not abruptly, but thoroughly. He allowed disappointment to slow you down. He allowed silence to confront you. He allowed loss to expose where your identity was attached to things He never meant to be permanent. And that's why the breaking felt personal. Because it wasn't just your circumstances changing, it was your identity being rewritten. You weren't just losing people, you were losing roles. You weren't just losing momentum, you were losing methods. You weren't just losing confidence, you were losing false confidence, the kind built on performance instead of presence. God had to remove the version of you that believed value came from how much you could handle, because the new season requires you to know your worth without proving it. Some of you felt embarrassed by the breaking. You thought, I should be past this. I should be stronger than this. I should have figured this out by now. But God says, you are exactly where you need to be for what I'm about to release. Because humility always precedes authority. God does not trust unbroken pride with lasting power. He does not trust untested faith with heavy assignment. He does not trust unhealed identity with visible influence. So he slowed you down long enough for truth to settle. Truth about your limits, truth about your needs, truth about your patterns, truth about what you can no longer carry. And that truth was uncomfortable. You had to face how tired you were, how disappointed you were, how much you had been functioning without rest, how often you had been strong for everyone else, but disconnected from yourself. But that honesty saved you, because now you are not pretending anymore. You don't force smiles the same way. You don't explain yourself the same way. You don't tolerate imbalance the same way. You don't sacrifice peace the same way. That's not weakness. That's wisdom born from breaking. The breaking taught you discernment. It taught you pacing. It taught you boundaries. It taught you how to hear God more clearly than noise. And now something has changed in the spirit. You no longer rush God. You no longer beg for doors. You no longer chase validation. You listen, you wait, you move when there is peace. That posture is not passive, it is powerful. Because only someone who trusts God deeply can afford to stop striving. And here's what God is preparing you for next. A season where you won't have to fight for every inch. A season where clarity replaces confusion. A season where the right things align without constant effort. But that season requires a different you. Not louder, not harder, but grounded. The old you would have mistaken movement for progress. The new you recognizes alignment as progress. The old you would have tried to manage everything. The new you trusts God to lead. The old you would have burned out trying to prove calling. The new you walks quietly knowing it. That's why God broke the old you. Not to destroy you, but to save you from carrying the next season the wrong way. And here's the truth that will soon become obvious. You will thank God for the breaking when you realize how much smoother the next season feels. Not because life becomes easy, but because you are no longer fighting yourself. You are aligned. You are anchored. You are ready. The breaking is over. The rebuilding is complete. The foundation is solid. And what's coming next will not crush you, because you were rebuilt to carry it.